It could be a big break for San Diego commuters. The feds grant $1 billion to extend the trolley up to University City.
But if you can imagine into the future, if you can just hop from one shop to another by walking instead of always having to drive.
The business community in the Convoy district is imagining that and more, how they want to make over their neighborhood. And we're live on the red carpet at the GI Film Festival at Balboa Park. We'll talk to the makers of a new film about one of the worst tragedies of World War II. You're watching KPBS Evening Edition. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The federal government issued a $1 billion grant today to help build the Mid-Coast Trolley extension. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says it's a massive undertaking.
The Mid-Coast Trolley will extend the Blue Line from Old Town up the I-5 corridor to UCSD, the VA hospital, and University City. That's 11 miles of light rail and 9 new stations. County Supervisor Ron Roberts says the project has been a long time coming.
This was one of the projects that was designated in 1987 that we wanted to see this get done, and I've reminded people of that over the years many times. What we're about to undertake is the largest transit project that's ever been done in San Diego County. This is a big one for us.
The project's total cost is just over $2 billion. Now, the Federal Transit Administration will be covering about half of that bill.
It will make education and resources here at UC San Diego and other colleges more accessible, and it expands access to major healthcare centers, including the VA Medical Center. That's important to us at FTA because we know that the lack of transportation is a major barrier to getting to regular care and combating chronic disease.
Officials will break ground on the trolley extension next month. Once service begins in 2021, passengers can get a one-seat ride from the Mexican border to the north of San Diego. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
San Diego County Superintendent of Schools is retiring early amid an investigation into his pay. The County Board of Education says Randy Ward will leave in mid-November instead of next June. He's been on paid administrative leave for 2 months pending an audit after the Taxpayers Action Network filed suit against him in July. Ward has served as the county superintendent for 10 years. Experts want Californians to be prepared in anticipation for the next big earthquake. Scientists have warned the state is ripe for the next quake. The state's earthquake authority says 90% of residents do not have insurance. They're urging homeowners to acquire coverage to protect their homes.
A lot of people think that, if the disaster is big enough, the government will bail them out or something like that. In fact, that doesn't happen. Or people may think it's covered in their homeowner's insurance policy, but it's specifically excluded from that.
Over 2/3 of the nation's earthquake risk is here in this state. Seismic experts say thousands of California buildings are so unsafe they'll be torn apart if the big one hits. There's more money coming to help clean California's air. Today, Governor Jerry Brown approved $900 million for environmental programs. The money will go towards a number of initiatives, all with the goal of cleaning up the state's notoriously dirty air. The money represents 2/3 of the available funding from California's emission fee or cap and trade. Air quality officials are meeting with state agencies to come up with better ways of reducing toxins in the atmosphere. According to a new state goal, California must reduce its toxic emissions by 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. Previously, officials focused more on reducing carbon dioxide, but say they need to also look at other industries like agriculture, which is the state's greatest producer of methane gas.
Things like methane, which have a global warming potential that's a lot more intense than carbon dioxide. And we think that if we can focus a little more on those, that we can get emission reductions quite a bit more quickly.
An Air Resource Board representative says the plan to reduce emissions will be complete by spring of next year. Giant tunnels that Governor Jerry Brown has proposed to haul water across California are economically feasible only if the federal government bears a third of the nearly $16 billion cost. That's the finding of a state's commission analyst commissioned last year, but never released. The finding runs counter to the longstanding state pledges that the district would pay the full cost.
That, yeah, all along they've known the cost benefits didn't pencil out, and their secret plan is to stick federal and state taxpayers to get them to subsidize this project.
The analysis is likely to heighten debate over Brown's proposal. U.S. officials have not yet publicly said if they'll pay part of the cost. San Diego Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez says she'll try again next year to pass a bill exempting diapers and tampons from sales tax. Governor Jerry Brown vetoed her bills along with several others that would have created tax breaks or exemptions. In his veto message, the governor said tax breaks are the same as new money spending. They'll both cost the general fund money. Housing experts are drawing a connection between California's growing poverty rate and the lack of affordable homes in the state. This comes as the U.S. Census Bureau released a report showing a median incomes of houses across America have experienced a significant increase. One group pushing the construction for more affordable housing in the state says the lack of affordable housing negates the spike in median income.
Today, more than 1.5 million people in California can't afford a home. And while the modest increase in incomes is a good thing, and it means that we're going the right direction, the truth of the matter is the majority of Californians are still struggling.
While affordable housing for the majority of California's population will remain scarce for now, the legislature has enacted a plan to construct more housing for the state's homeless and mentally ill population. San Diego businesses are leading the nation's private sector effort in helping eligible immigrants become citizens. Business leaders met to discuss the efforts with San Diego officials today. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero has the story.
Business leaders met here at the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce this morning. They're among more than 50 local businesses that are working with the National Immigration Forum on a project called New American Workforce.
Do they value their new American workforce and want to help their new American workforce become citizens?
The executive director of the project, Ali Noorani, listened to employers discuss the results they've had.
We have 22 hotels so far that are already participating in the program.
The project helps employers guide eligible workers through naturalization, which Noorani says boosts a sense of loyalty between companies and their employees.
For the workplace, it builds a sense of community, so that folks who are born in the United States, they're helping their coworker, study for that civics test. And that's just a really special moment, for that workforce, but also for the employer overall.
He says immigrant workers often get better at English when they seek citizenship because they have to take an English language proficiency test. He says this makes them more productive workers.
The United States citizenship moment is very powerful.
San Diego employers like Elizabeth Duran, CEO of San Diego Theaters, said they found this to be true.
People immediately responded with joy. I had an employee say she jumped for joy about it, and answering those questions, having confidence, was infectious to the other folks in the company.
Officials like San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner also spoke at the meeting, saying the program had proved beneficial for the San Diego economy. San Diego is one of 8 U.S. cities participating.
San Diego is the city with the largest number of businesses that are participating.
There are more than 8 million immigrants eligible for citizenship nationwide. About 200,000 of them are here in San Diego, and hundreds have been naturalized through the program. From the Regional Chamber of Commerce, Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
San Diego's Midway Museum has made a list of the nation's most popular museums. TripAdvisor.com ranks the Midway at number 6 in its annual Traveler's Choice Awards. That survey puts the Midway between the Smithsonian's National Air Space Museum in Washington, D.C. and the Getty Center in Los Angeles. The GI Film Festival is now underway here in San Diego. KPBS is proud to be one of the presenters of the event. And on the red carpet tonight, the story of the worst maritime disasters in U.S. naval history. San Diego filmmakers talked to the survivors of the USS Indianapolis. The ship sank after being torpedoed by the Japanese. Their documentary is screening tonight at Balboa Park. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh is on the red carpet live outside of the Museum of Photographic Arts.
Well, that's right. We're outside of the Museum of Photographic Arts here in Balboa Park. This is night one of the 5-day GI Film Festival. Tonight's film, the opening film, USS Indianapolis, The Legacy. This is the story of the ship that carried the parts of the atomic bomb. But ultimately, after they were hit by a torpedo, they spent 5 days in the water before they were finally rescued. We have one of the filmmakers here, Sarah Vladik. She's actually a local. She's from San Marcos. Sarah. So this film, it took you 15 years to put it together. What drew you to this topic?
I had initially heard about the story when I was 13, and I actually didn't think it was real. It was kind of a aforementioned storyline, and decided to look into it and thought, oh, that'd make a great movie. But at the time, I was obviously not able to, and no one had made it until, even until I graduated college. So that's when I decided to kind of pursue it.
They pulled over 300 people from the water ultimately, from a crew of over 800 people, over 1,000, 1,200 people. Only 23 survivors are left. I mean, what's it like how important is it to tell these stories?
Well, when I started this, there were 117, and now there's 23, as you know. And, World War II veterans are going quickly, and it's important for us to hear these stories firsthand so people understand the price of freedom and what was done for our country. So it's good to capture these stories while we can.
Yeah. Are these stories still fresh in their mind?
Absolutely. I mean, they may forget what is going on this week, but these stories, it's like it was yesterday.
Yeah. From what I've seen, it's an incredibly moving portrait of this film. And of course, this is night one of the GI Film Festival. It runs all the way until Sunday. There's a local night. There's a family night on Friday. If you want to know more about the actual schedule, you can go to gifilmfestivalsd.org. Reporting live from Balboa Park, Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
Award-winning student-produced films about suicide prevention will be screened at San Diego's E3 Civic High School tonight. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg says the Directing Change program hopes to entice other students to enter this year's contest.
You haven't been like yourself lately.
Yeah, what's up?
Directing Change is a statewide program that offers young people the chance to make 60-second films about suicide prevention and mental health. Students who take part in the contest learn about the warning signs of suicide and how to help someone who's in distress. Yana Scherz-Putowski is president of Directing Change. She says young people shouldn't be afraid to bring up the topic of suicide.
Asking directly, are you thinking about suicide, does not increase the chances that a person will take their life, but it can help prevent suicide by having an open conversation.
In the latest California Healthy Kids survey, nearly 19% of 11th graders said they had seriously considered attempting suicide. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
Vista High School has been named a super school by a private group called XQ Institute. The honor comes along with $10 million to be awarded over the next 5 years. Vista's proposal was picked out of 700 entries on how they'll serve as a catalyst for change, making high school more relevant, engaging, and effective for students. 9 other schools from around the country were also tapped to participate in the Super School project. Looks like a warm weekend is headed to San Diego. Temperatures are set to climb across the county into next week. Shanae Shocker has that in tonight's forecast.
Well, Orlean is still sitting off of the coast of Baja California, not affecting it too much over the last 6 hours, but those rip currents could be a strong hazard along the coast. But in the Southern California over the past 6 hours, definitely a nice day out there. Looking ahead into tonight, we're going to see that increasing cloud cover. That's pretty normal as well. It'll start to break up earlier in the morning and throughout the afternoon tomorrow. 63 degrees for your low tonight. tonight. Going to take a look at the rest of the county. Those temperatures drop quite a bit as you head inland into Ramona, 45 degrees, Alpine at 48, out in Mount Laguna, 38 degrees as well, and in Mecca, 64 as you head towards the deserts. Here's your setup for Thursday. We have an area of high pressure just off to our north. That's definitely ushering in some pleasant weather for your Thursday. Temperatures will begin to increase throughout the weekend, but we have a couple of nice days ahead of us. Take a look at this weekend. You see an area of warm and dry air. It's going to continue. It shouldn't get too uncomfortable for us, though. Here's your 5-day outlook for the coast. We're sitting in the mid to low 70s to end out your week on Thursday and Friday. 71 degrees on Friday, partly cloudy skies. Those temperatures do increase a little bit over the weekend. On Saturday, you hit 74. By the end of the weekend, we're in the upper 70s, and by the early next week, we're in the low 80s come Monday on the coast. We're going to head inland just a little bit. 5-day outlook for there. We start in the low 80s on Thursday and Friday. We're going to have some fog on Thursday morning, but then that sun is going to come out. You head into the weekend, you reach the mid 80s by Saturday, and by Sunday, those temperatures are starting to get into the low 90s. And to start your week, on Monday next week, 92 degrees. Lows still sitting in the 50s as well, so you might need a jacket during those evenings. Here's a look at your 5-day for the mountain. Temperatures start the week mostly sunny skies and nice in the mid 70s. They actually pop into the low 80s by Saturday, and by Sunday you are in the upper or the mid to upper 80s as well. That's going to continue into early next week. So definitely seeing a warming trend across the region. Now out in the deserts, they are back near the triple digits. 97 degrees for Thursday. A lot of sun in the sky. That sun's going to continue throughout the week. And those temperatures, they definitely increase 100 degrees for your Saturday. Then you're even going to get up to 103 for Sunday and Monday. I'm Shanae Shocker, KPBS News.
Turning an old ethnic neighborhood into a destination and a cool place to live has been done in San Diego before. Little Italy is proof of that, and now there's another well-known part of the city that aspires to do something very much the same. KPBS's Tom Fudge has the story.
If you had to pick a neighborhood that has very quickly changed for the better, Little Italy fits the bill. By the 1990s, Little Italy, the one-time community of Italian families and fishermen, had become little more than a field of parking lots for downtown office buildings.
No stop signs, so people would use India Street as basically an on-ramp to Interstate 5.
But today, after years of planning and renewal, Little Italy is restaurants, new housing, cozy streets with lots of foot traffic,
Toronto, Canada. We're from Toronto, Canada.
And tourists from Toronto.
The redevelopment of Little Italy has been a tremendous success by just about anybody's standard. And there's another part of San Diego where they want to do the same thing. The Convoy district in Kearny Mesa, like Little Italy, it has an ethnic identity and lots of restaurants, but it also has lots of challenges when it comes to redevelopment.
The Convoy district is a jumble of businesses that include car dealerships, big box stores, and strip malls. But there is a critical mass of Asian businesses, mostly restaurants, that make it the closest thing San Diego's got to a true Asia town. Ping Wong is co-founder of the Convoy District Partnership.
You've got a lot of great establishments here already. You know, you've got Jasmine here for dim sum. You've got dessert places like Eskimo. You've got revolving sushi, which is a hot item. So that's a great starting basis.
But Wong says Convoy can do a lot better.
But if you can imagine into the future, if you can just hop from one shop to another by walking instead of always having to drive, so a little bit more just nicer sidewalks, a little bit more green, perhaps some shade, some trees. The central island, beautifying that, having banners to sort of demarcate and tell you where you are.
The Convoy district is wedged between Balboa Avenue and Claremont Mesa Boulevard, and it's not known as an inviting public space. But Wong says add some crosswalks, a narrowed street, bike paths, and maybe some mixed-use housing developments, and Convoy could turn into a walkable place where people want to stick around for a while, not just eat and run. One optimist for that vision is Alan Chan, who owns Jasmine Seafood Restaurant. Everybody calls him Dr. Chan. Born in Shanghai, he worked his way through college in the Bay Area, working in San Francisco Chinatown restaurants. As for the Convoy district, he says,
my goal is always want to have an Asian town where people can live, work, and shop and everything there. Okay. But short of that, this Convoy area or Convoy district is becoming the Asian town.
But there are challenges. Of all the local uses visionaries imagine, creating housing is the biggest question mark. The Convoy district is zoned commercial industrial. That means creating mixed-use developments with housing so some people can actually walk to all those great restaurants would require a zoning variance. Chris Cate is the city councilman of District 6 who represents Convoy.
And we understand that we are growing as a city, that we are going to have more demand for housing. It's a need. Housing supply is a critical need in the city. But how do you balance that with other types of businesses that are close by?
The renewal of Little Italy may have seen fewer conflicts with existing properties, but Marco Lamandri says the Convoy district has what it needs to create an Asia town that will be a special place for San Diego. The building blocks are already there.
I think the advantage of Convoy is, again, the content. They have become the center of Asian capital and Asian food, really, in the county of San Diego. The advantage they have is that they're so centrally located. They're really accessible by the 163, the 15, and the Interstate 5.
Back at the Jasmine restaurant, Phil Lamb is waiting for a table over the lunch hour. He said he's already seen Convoy change. He told me when he first came here in the 1980s, the restaurant patrons were strictly Asian people. Soon, he noticed Asian people starting to bring their non-Asian friends.
But then the last 5 years or so, I've been seeing American people just coming here on their own now. So it's kind of funny how, it's kind of grown. This place has kind of grown.
We'll see if Convoy can grow even more. Tom Fudge, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour, the first of a two-part series on forced marriage. We look at the issue among American-born women here in the U.S. That's Wednesday on the PBS News Hour.
San Diego veterans took flight this morning in Mission Bay. They're participating in a project called Warrior Passion. It helps U.S. military veterans of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan transition back into civilian life and overcome some of the physical and mental challenges they face once they're home.
It gives them the disabled, or injured veterans that sense of competitiveness again, that sense of adrenaline, and that sense of something that they can accomplish.
The group's next event is San Diego off-roading a trip to Big Bear. You can find more information on their website at warriorpassion.org. A number of California food tech firms are shaking up the restaurant industry. Associated Press reporter Terry Che says one Silicon Valley pizza shop is doing it with robots.
Freshly baked pizza, straight out of the oven, ready for delivery. But this pizza wasn't made by humans alone. Robots had a hand in it too. This Silicon Valley startup is using intelligent machines to grab a slice of the pizza delivery business.
We automate those repetitive tasks so that we can spend more money on higher quality ingredients. And so there will always be a model here at Zoom where robots and humans work together to create delicious food.
Zoom Pizza is one of a growing number of tech firms seeking to disrupt the restaurant industry with software and robots. Here, robots add the sauce, spread it, and put pies in the oven. The startup will soon add robots to prep the dough, add cheese and toppings, take pizzas out of the oven, cut them into slices, and put them in boxes.
And we're going to free up people to do things that are higher value. There's going to be amazing new ways of working that don't exist yet that are going to be created.
Zoom says its biggest innovation is inside this delivery truck. It has 56 ovens to bake the pizzas en route to its customers, starting this fall. The startup wants to shorten delivery times with software to anticipate when and what kind of pizzas customers will order.
When they place their order, their pizzas could arrive piping fresh in as little as 5 minutes. And that's pretty cool.
Enjoy, have a great day.
It's delicious. It's always hot and fresh when it comes, and
I can't tell the difference that it's made by a robot versus a human.
But San Francisco-based Bistrobot likes its customers knowing their sandwiches were made by a machine.
The basic idea is we're trying to automate some of the stations you might find in restaurants, and it's quicker, it's cheaper, it's more consistent, and it's just this really fun experience to share with people.
Experts say more automation is coming to restaurant kitchens, but robots still struggle with irregular tasks that require fine motor skills.
We're making progress, but it's still a challenge. So I want to reassure restaurant workers that the skills that they have are still going to be of value.
One thing robots can't do, savor a good slice of pizza.
It's delicious.
Terry Che, Associated Press, Mountain View, California.
Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, the San Diego Unified School Board takes a stand on one of the propositions on the November ballot, hoping it will help kids be healthier. And on Midday Edition, America's incomes have made some of the biggest gains in decades. We look at how San Diego is faring. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.